What do you call two guys that were there when this happened?
Back to return at Spurlock. Michael Spurlock at the 10. He's to the 20. He's to the 25. Earl 30. To the 40-yard line. We could see history. 50, 40. To the 30-yard line. Run, Michael. Run, Michael. Run, Michael. Run. Touchdown, Tampa Bay. There you go.
And that.
Shotgun set. 3 receivers left. Here's the snap, and the blitzer is picked up. Brady underneath. Caught ball. Evans. He has the record at the 11-yard line. Mike Evans becomes the first NFL player in league history to record 1,000 yards or more in his first 7 seasons and won a throw by Brady. Congratulations, Mike Evans.
Who can forget?
Gannon looking, Gannon throws up the middle. That's intercepted at the 40. Derek Brooks 30. Touchdown, Tampa Bay. Derek Brooks, the most valuable player in the National Football League. There it is. The dagger's in. We're going to win the Super Bowl. Here's the snap. Mahomes running to his right. Look out. He may run. Mahomes directly goes toward the end down. Battle intercepted. Picked off in the end zone. Bucs are going to beat the Chiefs. We're the champions of the world, and we still have 1:33 to go. Devin White, what a great second season. That's it for KC. Bucs are the Super Bowl champs. They can't stop the clock.
We call them the Salty Dogs.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Salty Dogs podcast. I am Scott Smith.
And I am Jeff Ryan.
And we are the Salty Dogs.
Very salty.
And you know what? Keep your heads up. That's what we're doing.
Are you?
Yeah, you aren't?
No, I am.
We're keeping our heads up. It's one loss. It was not a good loss. It was an ugly game.
No, well, it wasn't good buckball.
Yeah, but it's one game. And honestly, that team is really good.
Yeah,
that Eagles team. On just about every level.
Yeah, their lines are pretty strong.
Yeah, that was the difference in the game.
But, you know, it always says you're going to win in the trenches, and I guess they did.
They did, and they've done that to a lot of people. Obviously, the Buccaneers, like any team that thinks it's a contender, you can't just say, well, we can't beat that team. Because if your goal is to make the playoffs and win some playoff games, you're going to have to beat teams like that at some point.
Well, you can't say you can't beat that team. Just go ask the Arizona Cardinals beating the Dallas Cowboys. So,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah, so it was we weren't going to beat them last night. They just played much better and more physical than we did. Mm-hmm. And the coaches are saying that, so I'm not this isn't me ragging on the Bucs.
No, but it kind of sucks it because, you get on national TV. And, of course, the Bucs have been on national TV quite a bit the last few years. But still, you kind of because the thought was this Buccaneer team was not going to be very good, and they already have 2 wins. So you're kind of like, yeah, nah. Let's get the 3-1, especially against a Super Bowl team. But it didn't happen.
Right, and if you said before this season started that after 3 games the Bucs would be 2-1 and tied for first place, I think we'd all take that.
Oh yes,
but. Well, I'm not sure coaches and players would take that because they'd be like, no, we want to try to win all 3.
Speaking
you
as
and
a
I
fan,
would take it.
Fandom would take it.
However, in the aftermath of the 1, not the 2, in the aftermath of the 1, it doesn't feel quite as good.
No, but you can make it all go away in the next 5 days.
Well, the coaches and players say it's all going away within 24 hours.
Yeah,
they're really hammering on this 24-hour rule thing.
Yeah, that's after wins and losses. That's not just after a loss.
I know.
So,
and I think they've done that after the first 2. But now the Buccaneers have they're 2-1. So are the Saints. So are the Falcons. And we play in New Orleans this coming weekend. A win and you're at least tied for first. Atlanta's playing Jacksonville.
Sure.
Which also didn't look very good this week.
No. Well, that's it.
If you talk about NFL football in Florida. The Bucs and Jags didn't look great this weekend, but Miami did enough to carry us all across the finish line.
Yeah, they kind of made everybody go.
That was unbelievable.
What? Yeah.
That was insane.
Yeah.
You have anything to add to that?
No, I just think about, how demoralizing. You give up 70 points.
Sean Payton.
Yeah.
Darn.
Well, it's kind of karma there because he did make a comment that, our friend Nate Hackett, who was here briefly and then moved on, he made a comment about his coaching staff was very unprepared and
he said one of the worst coaching jobs ever.
Yeah.
It isn't that the general NFL world felt like that was necessarily inaccurate. It's just you don't say that.
It's not nice.
And he knew that almost immediately afterwards. He wished he hadn't done it.
Yeah, and there was nothing to gain by saying that.
But there's I guess what's her McDaniel, the Giants, the Dolphins coach. He's kind of all in the same sort of coaching sphere, connections with guys like Nate Hackett, and so. Maybe there's a little extra reason to. Although I don't know if they were really pouring it on. They
weren't, because they had an opportunity.
Right.
They could have kicked a field goal and gone ahead and scored the most points in NFL and have the most yards.
They did get the most yards.
Did they?
Yeah,
okay.
They set the record.
So in that aspect, I kind of appreciate it. But
but 10 touchdowns. But I don't think they were really running it up in the sense of the word, like you might see in a college football game where it's a big mismatch, but they're running up the points because that might matter in terms of polling. It wasn't really terribly complicated plays, short passes, a lot of runs, but their guys just kept breaking them.
Yeah.
I mean,
did they have 2 running backs over 200 yards or something?
Well, they
crazy
had 2
like
running backs that had 4 touchdowns.
Yeah.
They had They each had 4 touchdowns.
Yes.
Do you know how many times in Buccaneers history a player has scored 4 touchdowns in one game for us? 3. 3.
Wow.
In the history of this franchise, Doug Martin, Leonard Fournette, and Jimmy Giles against Miami way back when. They had 2 guys do it in the same game.
I know. They had 10 touchdowns. Is that what it was?
10 offensive touchdowns. So when you talk about like the game that it was like a Washington game in 1966, they beat somebody 72-20 or something like that, and or maybe I don't remember the other half the score, but they also had like 3 non-offensive touchdowns in that game.
Right. So, but that back to your point all the way is the NFL. You just don't know.
Okay.
Period.
I think that was actually your point.
Well, it is my point.
Miami's averaging after 3 weeks 550 yards of offense a game.
Yeah, that's crazy. They look good, though. They look good.
They put up a variety of things on the boards before the game at Raymond James Stadium last night, and one of them was a list of the 5 fastest speeds that have been achieved by players in the NFL this season. Mm-hmm. All 5 of them were by Dolphins.
Yeah, I did see that.
And they didn't even have Jalen Waddle, who's also really fast. He was out for the game, which wasn't great for my fantasy team.
Well, they were taking a lot of heat, and they were slowly building quietly, they believe, and kind of like what's happening here.
Their defense is decent, and Jalen Ramsey will come back at some point, and they'll get even better. But they really only need to be decent if they can keep scoring like this.
Right.
And then I don't even need to say it. They obviously are not going to keep scoring 70 points a game.
No.
But if they're capable, they're averaging like 45. If they're capable of putting up 35 points a game, that could end up being the best offense of all time.
Nuts.
They're off to a good start.
Yeah.
The Buccaneers only scored 11, but you know what was kind of cool?
Yeah, your note.
Did you know that was a scoregami?
No.
Somebody on Twitter or something calls it that.
Yeah.
It's for every time a game ends, the first time the NFL's ever had that score.
Oh.
This is the first time that any NFL game has ever finished 25-11.
Yeah, I didn't know that until I saw your tweet, and I went, "Oh, that is kind of cool."
I mean, it didn't feel real good at the time because we had the 11.
No, it didn't. It didn't feel good at all. And you look back at that, and there were some missed opportunities, and but you know what? The Eagles are looking pretty good now. What happens the rest of the year, we'll have to wait and see. I mean, that's just the way it is.
Yeah, I forgot a couple things I wanted to do up top.
Sure.
So let's do them now.
All
One,
right.
And really we're getting more emails than we usually have. So
we're really good at formatting, aren't we?
I think the people who listen to this have come to expect that at this point. If you like stream of consciousness, join us every week. If you want to send us questions, and we've really got some people sending us a lot of good questions, and we've got a bunch today, but we'll try to get to all of them. So please send us questions or comments or whatever you want to talk about. It doesn't even have to be football. If it's something we can
Yeah, the more you talk to Scott, the less I have to.
So if you want to send us a question, email it to saltydogs at buccaneers.nfl.com. Mm-hmm. Don't forget the .nfl there.
No, you do that, it's never going to get.
It's not going to get here.
And all right, your other.
Okay. Elsewhere, we didn't even try to get a guest this week.
No,
because it's a short week,
wow.
And after the Monday night game, and both us and them have an awful lot going on.
Yeah.
So we're not gonna burn a guy that we could get later in the season. So
correct.
Let's just you and I will carry it. And we'll get back to having guests next week during a regular week. Actually, it's a bye week, right?
Yeah, so maybe we won't. Yeah.
Maybe we'll try to get somebody else in the building.
Yeah.
To help us out.
Have to figure that out. the bye week, it's kind of.
Don't they usually practice at least once during the bye week?
I don't know. You know what? I mean, if they win, do they get victory Monday?
Right.
I know that with the collective bargaining agreement, they have to have, 4 days
4 days in
off?
a row, I
Yeah,
think.
and I think it has to include a Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah, so they'll probably. So I'm saying maybe they'll come in and do a little bit of work on like Tuesday, Wednesday.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Okay.
As we celebrate a victory.
We'll figure it out.
And then also. No,
What?
I think that was it.
Okay.
Those two things.
You're going to do the what stood out to you? Or
Yeah,
what?
that was the other thing.
All right.
I like to ask you at the beginning, like, what's the favorite thing you saw? It's a little tougher after a loss.
No, this one was easy. This was so easy. I enjoyed halftime ceremony with Rondé Barber.
Okay, sure.
And the reason
I know what you're going to say.
The reason why I enjoyed it so much is Rondé is just like he really knows what to say and when to say it. And he during his acceptance speech of his ring, his Hall of Fame ring, he said that he wanted to thank the Philadelphia Eagle fans for coming down to help celebrate this occasion.
It was a great line.
It was.
And he turned around because most Eagles fans were on the other side of the stadium.
East side of the stadium, yes.
There were a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
Not going to lie.
No.
I actually didn't think they got all that loud, though.
No. But what people have to understand is, everyone goes, they travel well. They do travel well, but there are a lot of people in Florida from other places.
Relocated, sure.
So
that are just Eagles fans.
Sure.
Get a chance to go to a game. It wasn't. I sometimes dread those games because if they start to get out of hand, I'm afraid. But they didn't really get all that loud. I was a little bit surprised by that.
Yeah. So,
I guess we had the good-mannered Eagles fans.
Yes. Well, that's because they live in Florida now and they've been well trained. So that was my favorite part. And we actually on the Sirius Buccaneer app, the Sirius app, which carries Buccaneer audio.
It's a serious app.
Very serious. Sirius Radio app, our Buccaneer channel. That his whole speech is on there.
Oh, that's cool.
I delivered that last night.
Good.
So,
there's a lot of good stuff on there, right?
Yeah, us.
All the podcasts we do.
Yeah, nothing but Bucs. Us.
Press conferences.
All press conferences. So if you're in your car and
check it out.
It's on the app. What you do is you go to the Sirius app and you say. You search Buccaneers. Okay. And then it takes you right to all that stuff.
Okay.
So what was yours?
Well, first of all, since we're on the Rondé subject.
Uh-huh.
Well, okay, I'll go ahead and I'll wrap that up.
Okay.
Mine was that Mike Evans catch, the one-handed catch.
Oh. Did you see the sick picture of that?
No. Did they get a great picture?
There is he is leaning backwards, one hand.
Yeah.
Grabbing it.
He caught it with one hand.
Yes, and the guy's on his back.
Yeah, the defender hanging all over him, or him hanging on the defender.
Yes.
I don't know if you can say it's his best catch ever because there's that one in Dallas, which we also have a sick picture of.
Yeah.
Gotta hand it to our photographers, huh?
I don't know who took the shot, but let's see.
I mean, they're really they're taking advantage of their opportunities there.
It is. I'm going to send this to you so you can.
And then there's obviously that one where he got catch of the year for when he got hit by Keanu Neal when Neal was with the Falcons on the sideline making that great catch. Mm-hmm. It's up there though. I mean, that was one of those where you go, "Whoa! Did he just really do that?"
It is. It is. I don't know. I kind of am like used to it. So I said, that's what Mike does. So that ding was Scott's phone because I sent him the picture.
Oh my God, that is amazing!
Isn't that?
That is so cool.
That is a great shot.
I just don't know how these guys hold on.
It's amazing. It really is. And you kind of were. It was a great play and it was a great drive, and you were thinking, why didn't they start? Why didn't this happen sooner? But but you always say
and then why didn't it happen anymore after that? Because we never got the ball back.
Yeah, that was a heck of a
drive.
That
was like a 9-minute, 4-minute drill.
Yeah,
yeah. They converted 10 of their 16 third downs, which was that's one thing when I'm watching a game that's not going well for my team. I think maybe my least favorite situation is when the other team just keeps converting third downs. Yeah. Long, short, medium, and you're like, you keep getting in third down and you can't get off the field, and you're like, come on, not again.
Yeah, let's.
Can't we get one stop here? And we got more than one stop. It's true, but
but it was an unbelievable catch. But it's so routine for Mike.
That catch was not routine.
I know, but Are you shocked by it?
No, I'm not shocked.
Okay.
I was amazed.
Yes.
I think we can still be amazed.
Mike will always amaze
I think
us.
my favorite part of this whole season so far is the output that Mike's having.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's always somebody waiting for him to fall off the cliff,
Oh,
right?
yeah, they can't wait. Yeah.
The fantasy world already kind of dismissed him before the season started. He was way down the ranks.
Yeah, the fantasy world will really put you.
But it reflects the thinking of people.
Yeah, I understand that.
They evaluate these guys and go, okay, he's going into his 10th season. He's gotten over 1,000 yards every year, but a couple of years he barely made it over 1,000. And while he's had like 4 seasons with a dozen touchdowns or more,
right,
which are fantasy gold, he's also, like last season, he only had 6. And 3 of those came in week 16 when most fantasy seasons are over. So they were all ready to write him off. He's one of the most valuable receivers in fantasy through the first 3 weeks. If you can get a guy that scores a touchdown every week,
it's pretty strong.
He's usually going to hit or exceed his projections for that week. So I love it. Mike's playing great. I think we have a question at the end that's going to talk about it. Yes, there are a few balls that you might have expected him to catch that he didn't, including one in the end zone.
Yeah, I think you're always shocked when he doesn't catch a ball.
Right. Or Godwin, for that matter.
Yeah.
These guys are going to not catch it every now and then. There's different degrees of drops.
Speaking of Godwin, did you think he hit the pylon with the ball, the tip of the ball?
He did. He nudged it.
And so that would have been a touchdown had it been challenged?
But we did get to touchdown.
Yeah,
right?
we did. But my question to you is, had they stopped?
I know. It was still.
We were in a hurry up.
There were 2 angles. One where it's sort of like you're behind Chris looking towards the end zone, and you can see that the tip of the ball makes the pylon move.
Yeah.
And then the next angle, you're on the other side and you can't tell from the end zone looking out. And then I'm looking at it and I'm like, that first replay, and then I look down and they're already running in a play, and I'm like, well, that's a moot point then.
Yeah. But they scored, so it
ended up being Mike Evans' touchdown, which is
But
cool.
I was just curious whether you thought the same thing
I think it was pretty clear that pylon moved.
Okay, good. There was a lot of movement in that game on the offensive line. That there was a lot of movement, I thought, that was missed. I'm not going to get into it.
Oh, you're talking about, well,
with
Coach
the
talked
Eagles.
about it.
Just a couple,
There was one very blatant one that the whole
you
stadium
mean where
saw.
he did he did
the Jawan Taylor step back.
Yes.
Yeah, it's weird. We all know that officials are human and they have a very hard job, and I would probably be terrible at it.
Right.
I would definitely be terrible at it.
Right.
If I hadn't been trained for many years.
Right.
But it's the ones where it's so obvious that you're like, how could they possibly not see that?
Well, and for those who don't understand, there is a particular official that his job is to just watch that. That's his job. Is
the
to
O-line,
watch, yes,
and the D-line,
and the D-line to watch that.
The trenches.
So, but those things happen, and you move on. But that was kind of.
Is that the line judge?
Yes. Is it the line judge? I would.
Well,
think
let's see what the options are here.
Yes.
It's not the ref.
No.
It's probably not the back judge.
No.
I don't know what the umpire is.
He's in the middle.
Okay.
He's the middle guy.
The guy that stands behind the linebackers?
Yes.
Field judge, down judge. Down judge, what is that? And side judge.
Yeah, I think it's the side judge.
It's not the line judge?
All right, well,
it's right there in the name.
Line judge, yeah. Anyways.
Anywho.
I was just kind of flashing through that game because that game is not that old. It's not even 24 hours old.
Yeah,
Can you believe that?
It seems like it was a while ago.
I know.
That's because we both came in here and had 2 days of work to do in one day.
Yes,
Not
very
that I'm
early.
complaining.
No, not at all.
We're talking about Mike. He's in the 700 club now.
Yes, I saw that. I saw that note.
He's like, what did I say, like the 59th player ever to
Yeah.
get to 700 receptions?
Pretty cool.
He's got 84 touchdown catches now. He has 85 touchdowns.
Huh.
Because he also had a fumble recovery touchdown one season. Somebody else on offense fumbled, and he fell on it.
Okay.
So that moved him up into a tie for 21st all time. 21st is pretty cool, but what is cooler is that every time he scores, he's moving up that list rapidly.
Yeah.
So you could envision by the end of the season, he's closing in on the top 10. And we talk about Hall of Fame possibilities, and you think if he's anywhere around the top 10 all-time receiving,
you got to get into consideration.
You got to get to 100 for that. Tim Brown and Steve Largent are tied for 9th with 100 touchdowns. So that's 9 and 10 on the list. And Mike's now at 84. Touchdown catches, specifically, I mean. So when he scored this time, he moved up from tied for 26th to tied for 21st. If he scores one more time, He's going to move it into tie for 18th with Lance Allworth, Hines Ward, and Paul Warfield. Hines Ward is a weird one in there.
Yeah,
he's like the only guy in the top here that's not in the Hall of Fame who's already eligible. Like Larry Fitzgerald and Antonio Gates, Rob Gronkowski, they're all not in the Hall of Fame, but that's because they haven't been eligible yet.
Right.
If he scores 2 more touchdowns, well, Jimmy Graham's active, and he scored this past week. But right now, Jimmy Graham is 17th with 86. If he scores 3 more, he's tied for 17th with Andre Reed. If he scores 4 more, he's tied for 15th with Don Maynard. I mean, you see how
Jets, Don Maynard.
It is a 1958 to 73. Yeah.
Yeah. How's that one for you?
He also played briefly for the Giants,
the
Hamilton Tiger Cats, and St. Louis. That would have been the
those are some pretty
Cardinals.
Pretty strong names, or household names, basically.
Yeah. So every time he catches another touchdown pass, he's just like moving up from one group of great players to a group of even greater players, and I just think that's really cool.
Wow. Exciting stuff, for sure.
I wanted to diverge again before I forget. You brought up Rondé in his ceremony at halftime, where they also unveiled his Hall of Fame logo next to his name on the stadium.
Yes.
I believe this is the first time we've been doing a Salty Dog since the Wednesday premiere of Prototype, right? That was last Wednesday, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And we would have done this on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
So we haven't talked about that.
No, we have not.
So the Buccaneers, with Stephen Lynch as the producer, made this documentary called Prototype, The Legacy of Rondé Barber. It's an hour and 20 minutes long.
Well worth your time.
I would highly recommend it.
I would too.
If you're a big Bucs fan, especially if you're a big Rondé Barber fan like I am. Really a lot of good stuff in there. There was stuff in there that I didn't know.
Yeah, I agree with you. And watching that and reflecting on it, I kind of felt like, it was about Rondé, of course, right? But that time frame, both you and I witnessed it.
Yeah, and
it was kind of like a reflection of my own life. Like I would see something and I go, I know where I was when that happened.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah, there were little things in there.
Yeah,
there were little things. Like as an example, I was not aware of how banged up he was going into that NFC Championship game.
I knew he was, but not as much, and because he really hit it well. He was very good about.
Well, he always did.
Yeah, he just would not go in because he was afraid the trainer would say you can't play.
That was a cool thing in the movie too, because there is a picture of Rondé Barber hanging on the wall in the training room, and it's because he never wanted to go in there and almost never did.
Yeah, it's a very high standard he set.
Yeah.
You can see it on YouTube. It's on YouTube.
You can also see it on Buccaneers.com.
Right. It's well worth the time.
The Bucs YouTube channel, it's worth it. Maybe watch a little bit of it now, a little bit of it later, but
it was a very cool experience. We should explain it that there was
we went to the Tampa Theater, which is beautiful.
A beautiful historic theater. Very cool. That was the first time I had been there.
It was only the second time I'd been there, and the first time was a long time ago.
Yeah.
So it was good to be refreshed.
Yeah, it was real. It's very old school theater.
Very ornate.
Had the stage. Yeah.
And that's where we did the panel afterwards.
And I will say you did an awesome job of hosting that.
Thank you.
Had
moderating.
Yeah, 3 Hall of Famers there.
Rondé and Derek Brooks and Warren Sapp. And then we also had, like I said, Stephen Lynch, the producer of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So the fans, one of the cool things about that night was how enthusiastic the crowd was.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes they were making a lot of noise when I wanted to hear what was going on. But overall, they were very – and anytime a new guy pops up, like you see Mike Allstott for the first time, I was like, Mike Allstott, and of course saved the biggest love for Rondé Barber. But
what I thought was very cool was not only how many alum players that played with Rondé, but how many current Buccaneers. Like Baker and his wife came, did the red carpet. Right. It was very, very cool that showing respect, I guess, and at least acknowledging that they know some history of the Buccaneers just getting here.
And then Baker wore a Rondé jersey to the game last night.
Yeah, that was total respect. Yeah, that was cool. Well, he wore it into the stadium too.
I know.
Yeah,
and then put it back on for the podium.
Yeah, that was very, very cool. But what a great event! It was very well done, well put on. The execution was pretty flawless, I thought, all the way through. And it was a great evening. And for those Buck fans that got to go, but they actually sold tickets to that, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, but you can watch it for free.
Yeah. So
other things about this game, this Philly game. I know we don't want to talk about it a ton.
Well, you have to.
It's the first time since 2006 that the Buccaneers have been out. That the Buccaneers have played a game in which their opponent had 450 or more yards, and in which they had fewer than 200 yards.
Really?
The only reason I'm bringing that up, because it's obviously not a positive stat, is the last time it happened was in 2006 against
Philadelphia.
Do you remember that game? You do remember that game?
Is that the one where Matt Bryant kicks the field goal?
Yeah.
Okay.
62-yard field goal.
I had to think for a second.
It's also the one where Rodney Barber had 2 pick sixes off of Donovan McNabb.
And he did not get the key to the city.
I know, that was...
But he did get it. He got Rodney Barber Day last week.
Okay, right,
so
right,
he finally, all these years later,
it was so funny because he does 2 pick sixes for the first time anybody in franchise history. Well, other than the Super Bowl.
Yeah, had he not done that kick, there would not be a kick.
Right.
So that was his thing.
And so it's just weird. That's the only reason why I bring that stat up. It's only happened 5 times now. Thank goodness. And the Bucs have won the last time they did that, which is just can you imagine being on that Philly plane on the way home going, how did we just beat them by like 300 yards and lose?
Yeah. That's a tough one.
There were hardly any penalties in that game. And you brought up a little bit that maybe they weren't calling what could be false starts.
Sure.
But overall, I think we had 3 and they had 4.
Yeah. It was pretty clean.
It was a pretty clean game.
And I have to say, the field really held up quite well. That was the 3rd game in 9 days.
Wow.
No, was it? Yes.
4th in
10
or 11 days.
Yeah, 4 and 9 because USF college football team here played 2 and then we played 2 in 9 days. So that's pretty cool.
And they had to keep. We talked about it last week, so we don't have to rehash it. But they had to keep switching that side in and out.
And we got lucky with the rain. It came and went. It came, it went. So
it didn't do much. What I felt we were lucky about was no lightning.
Correct. I got a little nervous about that.
These NFL observers in front of me, they kept having somebody run up and go, blah, 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 is saying that there's going to be I don't remember what they called it, seek shelter announcement here in the next 10 minutes. And then somebody else would be like, we have no reports of that whatsoever. But I was getting very nervous that they were going to do a lightning delay. Because it's the last thing you want on a Monday night game, especially when you're losing.
And they have lightning detectors and anything. It's like, I think it's 8 miles out or something like that if there's a lightning strike, which here in Florida happens
a lot.
Yeah.
Yes.
You get that, and then it's like, oh, man.
I'm honestly surprised that we don't have more lightning delays.
Yeah. We're very fortunate.
We are lucky.
Yeah.
We were now the Buccaneers did not commit a turnover in their first 2 games. Won the turnover battle, both of those games, and won those games.
Yeah.
This game was actually even 2-2.
Right.
But it really felt like we lost the turnover battle.
It was inopportune time.
Because if you think about it, we get that Devin White pick, which is exciting, and it had come after Baker Mayfield pick. So you're like, okay, cool, got the ball right back.
I saw a tweet that someone was saying, what was Devin White afraid to get hit by Hurts, or was he afraid because he went out of bounds? And I was like, don't you follow it all? The guy has a groin injury. He couldn't run. You could tell he couldn't run.
It looked like if
he was a healthy one, if he was healthy,
tried.
If he was healthy, I think he wouldn't have scored.
Yeah, he clearly couldn't go, and that was the reason why he ran out of bounds.
Yeah.
And I wasn't sure he'd be back, but he started the second half, so he only missed 4 plays. So think about that. He gutted that whole game out.
Wow.
Despite the fact that his groin was touchy enough that he couldn't open it all up on a punt when he could have had a pick six.
Sure.
So instead of ripping the guy, we should be
praising him, saying, "Hey, you hung in there."
Yeah, it's a gritty play.
Absolutely.
But our turnovers were his pick, and then unfortunately we just gave the ball right back.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the next turnover was a great play by D. Delaney on the interception.
Great.
But it puts us at the half-yard line. Not through any fault of his own. You want him to pick it off. Don't get me wrong.
Sure.
But you're at the 1-yard line, and then the next play is a safety. So really, it kind of worked against the Bucs, right? So because then not only do they get to 2 points, but you have to kick the ball back to them.
Yeah.
Jake Kamara, my goodness,
what a leg!
He's going to kick one right out of the stadium.
Someone asked Coach if Jake was out kicking his coverage, and I understood where it was coming from.
It's not an unreasonable question.
Yeah, but I also think you just want your guy to kick it as far as he can.
Yeah, I mean that 74-yarder, which we originally reported as 73 because that's what it said.
Uh-huh.
They later changed it to 74. That ties the team record, which he set last year or tied last year. Sean Landeta also did it in 1997. But he has 3 of the 4 longest punts in team history, and 2 of those are in the last 2 weeks.
Crazy.
And he's just killing the ball. And so on that one that went 74 yards, the guy caught it over his shoulder at the 4-yard line. I mean, that ball almost went into the end zone. So if it had, it would have been a 78-yarder with a 58-yard net, and you'll take that every day.
Sure.
The guy made a really nice play.
Yeah.
The coverage, it's hard to get down there on a 74-yard punt. It's true. But it was down there enough that they shouldn't have given up the length of the return that they did.
Yeah.
There were some miscues. And the coverage has been good the first couple weeks, so I'm not worried about it. We got a lot more speed on that unit now, but it wasn't good throughout the game.
No. And it just seemed like, it wasn't all there. But I will say this. After the game was over in the locker room, per man, everybody we interviewed was, yes, we didn't play our best ball. Yes, we got beat. Yes, we're moving on.
Yeah.
There was no excuses, no finger pointing, no, I have to do better. I can't turn the ball over. In fact, Baker's interception, he did a pretty good job of not saying, keeping his eyes straight down. But you could see when you watch the film how you can see the Eagle guy slowly sliding over. So he just read the play. He just read the play.
Yeah.
And he had a good jump on the ball.
Sometimes the defender just makes a really good play.
Yeah.
That's, I guess,
and
what you're saying.
Yes, exactly.
Nobody's going
put.
throughout the whole season without an interception.
No.
If you're playing every day.
Well, hopefully,
I
yes.
mean, maybe your starting left tackle is going to go the whole season without throwing an interception.
Yeah, well, that's true.
I should have been more specific on that one. One other thing from this game, it's hard to feel like there were any positives on defense. But I felt, and I talked about it on the radio with your guys before the game.
Pre-game, yep.
That Ronnie and Pat, that is, that if you looked at the numbers, Jalen Hurts is fantastic. He was second in the NFL MVP balloting last year and truly deserved it. He's not Justin Fields. He can run.
Yes,
but he also
Yeah.
is a good throwing quarterback.
I was surprised how well he threw.
I will say, though, that I was talking to those guys. I'm like, the numbers suggest he's good. He's great. He's having another good season.
Yeah.
His numbers aren't as good so far this season. They probably will get better. But the numbers showed that in the first couple of games, he had struggled a little bit against the blitz. And if you look at the numbers from this game, he won and threw for 277 yards, threw a touchdown, ran for another one, right? Okay, good for him. But his numbers, we blitzed on like 60% of the plays, which is the highest blitz rate that Jalen Hurts has ever faced since he came to the NFL.
Right.
And it kind of worked because he was like 13. I'm looking up. I'll get to the numbers exactly. Like 13 of 23 for 125 yards or something like that, and his two interceptions. So his passer rating when we blitzed, whether or not the blitz worked, his passer rating was like 40. But then against the blitz was like 122. So, the strategy of blitzing him was not a bad decision.
No, and it's like anything. If you get there, it was great, and they were so close so many times.
Kinda.
You didn't think they were close?
I guess
a lot of movement though.
We did hit him on the touchdown pass. Greg Gaines did.
Yeah.
And we hit him on another big play that they had that I'm not coming up with right now, but yeah, there were a few where he actually got hit as he threw, and yet it was still complete. That was frustrating.
Very.
So here it is. Jalen Hurts was blitzed on 61% of his dropbacks against the Buccaneers, his second highest blitz rate faced in a game in his career. Against the blitz, he was 13 of 23, 152 yards, 2 interceptions, negative 9.3 completion rate over expected. And then again, with no blitz, he was 10 of 14 for 125 yards and a touchdown. He was only pressured on 33.3% of those blitzes.
Right.
But that was better than when we didn't blitz. It was only 14.3%. So the blitzing was a good idea. It just wasn't enough. They had so many answers. They can just run the ball.
How many defensive plays were there?
We only had 44 offensive plays.
Yeah, so I know
78.
Wow.
Yeah, and the time of possession was 38:55 to 21:05. I mean, when you can run the ball the way they were running it.
It's kind of like a flip-flop from when we played Chicago.
Yeah.
We had 36 minutes. So, yeah. Wow.
Yeah, well, we kind of controlled that game.
Yeah.
And they kind of controlled this
Very
one.
much so.
There's a lot of pretty interesting little
Tidbits?
little next-gen little insights, they call them here.
Mm-hmm. Give us an example.
You want an example?
Yeah, give me an example.
Baker Mayfield was considerably more effective when getting the ball out in under 2.5 seconds.
Really?
He averaged 8.8 yards per attempt when he did that, but only 2.7 per attempt when he was holding the ball longer than that. And I think what that's another way of saying the Eagles' defensive front is really good because you couldn't hold the ball much longer or the play was going to be blown up.
Yes.
That's basically what that stat says.
Yeah.
When he got rid of it in under 2.5 seconds, he was 11 of 13 for 114 yards and a touchdown, which is really awesome.
Wow.
Jalen Carter, that incredible rookie for the Eagles.
But through all of it all, when you think about it, they scored 22 points.
That's true. 23.
Or 23.
Yeah, that's fair.
So when you look at all those stats and time of possession, you kind of think, wow, how many points did they score?
Yeah. It could have been a lot worse.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Could have been ask Denver, right? As Sean Payton.
Wow. Yeah, it's funny. It's like I said previously, it hasn't even been 24 hours after that game, but it seems so long ago. It's crazy. But at least the weather held. Like I said, we had a little bit of rain, and
Yep. All right. So
what else you got?
Since we played Monday,
I'm looking at cloudy skies and thinking, I'm glad we're not playing today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that'll probably just pass through, though.
Yep.
Since we played Monday, you and I think I'm speaking for both of us, we're off on Sunday.
Yes,
so it was
we
an
were.
opportunity to watch some football.
We did.
Sit on the couch.
Did. Yeah.
I made a rotel cheese dip. You ever had that?
No.
It's good. So the main thing I did, now the Miami game was on. I only have whatever the two networks were. I don't have Sunday Ticket or anything like that. And I don't mind that. I don't mind just sitting there watching one game. That game was on, but New Orleans was playing Green Bay, and since we played New Orleans last week, I thought it would be better
if you
watch that one.
And so that's what I did.
I probably was on that game 90% of the time, and just a little bit on the Miami one, which is a shame. Because apparently it would have been really exciting to watch that Miami game.
And the Green Bay game was a struggle. It was 17-0 all the way into like almost
fourth quarter.
Yeah. And so you're kind of like, and I kept watching it going, wow, is New Orleans this good? Is what's going on? But then I started thinking, Green Bay's been, shooting themselves in the foot.
They
here.
did. They shot themselves in the foot so many times.
They were just not executing very well, and then
they once again had a special teams problem.
Yeah.
With the Rashid Shaheed touchdown, which has been a bugaboo for them for years.
And so, I'm surprised too. I bet you Richie Bisaccia was not very happy.
And now it's like, okay, their special teams are playing fine, but anytime a bad thing happens, you go, oh, here we go again. But yeah, I think Rich Bisaccia has sort of really helped solve that problem.
I didn't realize the Miami game maybe because I was so focused on that, and then when I saw the score, I was like, "Are you kidding me?"
Maybe I should have watched that one.
Right.
What I really picked up from it was that the Saints' defense looks pretty good.
They do,
which is disappointing, considering they lost Marcus Davenport, Caden Ellis, Shai Tuttle, David Onyemata. I think there's another one or two, but they lost a bunch of guys. And so they're kind of filling in from guys that have been reserves. And I was hoping maybe this is the year that the Saints defense takes a dive.
No.
So far they look really good.
Very good.
And Demario Davis is still great. And I would say from watching that game, it's just one game because I didn't see their other two, but it really looks like they make it very difficult for you to do anything in the middle of the field.
Yeah.
Because from what I could tell, they were playing a lot of single high safety. And so they were basically daring Jordan Love to hit them on the outside. And he tried over and over and over again. And some of them worked, and eventually enough of them worked that they won the game. But I could not believe how many times on any down in distance, it'd be 3rd and 2, and all of a sudden Jordan Love is chucking it downfield against a backup corner that they're obviously trying to take advantage of.
And they went after him a lot.
Yeah, but on both sides, it was but they couldn't get anything done in the middle. And so I'm wondering, maybe I can ask Rob McCartney tomorrow, was that a one-time thing, or are they really that good, and do you have to beat them on the outside?
Yeah.
If so, I'm kind of excited by that because
Mike Evans, Chris
I'll
Godwin.
take Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and Trey Palmer.
Yeah, right.
I'll take those three guys trying to beat you on outside one-on-one plays.
Maybe, yeah. And Carr looks like, well, we don't know, but he hurt his shoulder, so you don't know if he's playing or not. I would assume he wouldn't be, but you never know with modern medicine.
I am of the opinion that he will definitely not be playing because if he actually had a chance to play, what they call that, what coaches usually say is day to day. When you say week to week,
that's
very infrequently are you back that same week.
Well, maybe they're trying to be crafty.
Well, I did read a little bit about Drew Brees talking about the 2 times that he had an AC joint sprain, and
they put a harness on him.
Well, the harness when it was his left shoulder.
Yeah,
but he's like, it's really, even when you come back, like he played in one game where he didn't throw a single pass in practice the entire week.
Wow.
And then played in the game. And it's a pain tolerance thing. He says it just feels wrong. It's like you hear the clicking sound when you throw.
That's not good.
And it just feels it's an uncomfortable, it's an unpleasant experience. Now, obviously, the key here is what severity of a sprain is it? Like Breeze was saying his was just a grade 1, which apparently isn't that severe. So he was able to play through it. I don't know. I hear week to week, and I'm thinking that's got to be at least a couple weeks.
So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
It's a good question.
Because, I guess it'll get answered game day, but their backup is Jameis Winston, and we all know Jameis. He was here. We've seen what he can do, and he can break your heart, but he can break your heart 2 ways. He can break your heart because he's going to throw really well, and you're not wanting that, or he breaks your heart because you're hoping he throws well, and he doesn't throw well. So he's a heartbreaker either way.
Oh, I got to tell everybody the stat I was spreading around. Did I tell you this stat?
No. Which one now?
Monday afternoon, I was listening to a podcast, and they were talking about how Sam Howell. Do you remember what I'm talking about now, or did I not tell you?
No, you did not tell me.
Sam Howell, the quarterback for the Washington Commanders, apparently this past weekend against Buffalo, threw an interception in each of the 4 quarters of the game.
Oh,
he threw an interception in each quarter, first quarter, second, 1 in each.
Okay.
That's only the 4th time that has happened in the last 8 seasons in the NFL.
Wow.
And the other 3 were all Jameis Winston.
Really?
Isn't that incredible?
That is an incredible stat. Well, maybe we can add to it.
Yeah, that would be nice. But I agree with you. It makes me nervous to go up against Jameis because, I don't think the Bucs. You never want to lose to one of your former quarterbacks.
But he can run. But do we see Tyson more in this particular game? Do we? So it is. It's. I don't know if it. I don't know. I'm kind of curious to see what Coach has to say this week about it once he knows who the quarterback is. Our coach.
Well, he kind of already said he doesn't think the game plan changes much from Carr to Jameis.
Yeah. I don't know how it could, though. Right?
Jameis got them like 100-something yards after Derek left.
Yeah.
And he did. You have
he
to
hit
admit,
a couple. Yeah.
Well, you have to admit he got them in position for what could have been the game-winning field goal.
That's true.
And then the rookie kicker missed it from like 46. And I think you expect guys to make 46-yard field goals now.
Yeah. And if you want to last in the NFL. Speaking of making a lot of them, how about Matt Gay hitting
4.
4, over 50 yards?
Yeah. I think he's got NFC Special Teams Player of the Week. AFC, locked down.
I think he's got a shot at it, yeah.
That was incredible. Is that a record? I don't know.
It is.
Most 50-plus in a game?
Yep.
4.
And the most consistent field goal kicker for the Ravens. He missed a
Justin Tucker?
Missed a game winner at the end.
Oh, and then Indy
had to go to overtime. Yes. How about that?
From how far?
At home.
Justin Tucker missed?
Yeah, at home.
I have to look this up now.
It was crazy. It was one of those, are you kidding me?
It was from 59 yards.
Oh, well.
Wait a minute.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm looking right at it.
Okay. Was it?
No, never mind. This is the wrong game.
Oh, never mind. Good, you're giving me a hard time already, and then it's like, oh, this must be the wrong game.
He missed from 61.
What?
It was 61.
Really?
He was short. I mean, he's made those before,
yeah.
so I can understand thinking he would.
Well,
he made from 50. There were 5 field goals of 50 or more yards in this game.
And that wasn't a great day either. What I mean by that is weather-wise, it wasn't a great day.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. So there was a safety in this game, too.
Yeah. How crazy is that,
Safeties
really?
all over the place.
Yeah.
It actually ended up being very important because that made it 19-16.
Uh-huh.
And then, so when the Colts kicked a field goal, it only tied it, sent it into overtime.
Yeah.
They did end up winning anyway. But
yeah.
So he had Matt hit a 53-yarder to tie the game.
Wow.
And then a 53-yarder to win the game. Shades of Martin Gramatica against Carolina in 2002.
Yeah.
But Martin didn't have 450 pluses in one game.
Speaking of Martin Gramatica, he did a book signing.
He
wrote a book. And,
that's cool.
Yeah, I'm looking forward
to it.
I do. I'm looking forward to reading.
Do you know what it's called?
Gosh, of course you're going to hit me with that one. No, I don't. I do not. Off the top of my head,
right.
I don't.
No big deal.
I'm tired. How's that?
We didn't get a ton of sleep last night.
I was here at 7:20 this morning, my friend.
I stayed up till 2, a little after 2 doing stat work.
I stayed up till 1:45.
And then I couldn't get to sleep for like
1:00.
another hour.
Yeah.
That's
well, it's hard on night games. But it was nice having a 7:15 kick. I say thank you, ESPN, for making us the 7:15.
That was great.
It was. I love that.
I walked into my house at maybe right around midnight.
Yeah.
And my wife says, "Oh, I didn't expect you home this
Yeah.
early." and I said, "Well, remember, it was a 7:15."
Right.
And she was at the game, so she knew. So.
Yeah, but I do like that. Okay, so with Jameis Winston, we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, so it's Derek Carr. That's going to be one of the huge storylines. Another one is that the Saints are getting Alvin Kamara back.
Yeah, been suspended.
Suspended for 3 games for that altercation in Las Vegas after the Pro Bowl 2 seasons ago. Of course, he's suspended just long enough to be back to play us.
And he's going to have fresh legs.
They did get one of their safeties, Marcus May, suspended, and he'll be out. So neither team in this matchup has run the ball well yet.
No.
They didn't have Kamara, and then Jamal Williams, who was their lead back in his absence from the Lions, he got hurt in the second game. He's on injured reserve. So they've had injury and suspension issues. We've kind of I think it's taking us a little while to gel and get everybody on the same page in this new running scheme.
Yeah.
Because I will say this. There are several times during that game where I felt like Rashad was trying to do the Le'Veon Bell thing, where you kind of hesitate and wait and let a spot. And Le'Veon Bell became so good at that. And I've seen Rashad successfully do that. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't working against this defensive front.
No.
I'm
not really sure what would be working against them.
Well, they are the number 1 rush defense in the league. They were even before that game.
And now I know why.
Well, man, they've spent their last 2
beefy.
Their last 2 first-round picks were both those Georgia defensive tackles.
Do they have something like between their lines, something like 7 first-round picks or something crazy?
Well, they
got
a lot of guys from Georgia.
Okay,
They're not all first-rounders.
Oh, okay.
The way that Todd put it about Rashad, and he certainly was. He also talked about what the line needs to do better. But he said we've got to stay on our blocks a little longer.
Yeah.
Obviously, it goes hand in hand. He means the line and the running back. Rashad has to hit it. I think he tried to make too many big plays when it was a grinded out type of game. You're not going to get big plays on these guys. You've got to start hitting it up in there, getting 2, 3, and 4 yards, and hope you can break one later on. He probably had too many cuts trying to make an explosive play, something out of nothing, as opposed to taking what they give him. Given the magnitude of the game, knowing it was going to be one of those types of games, just from an experience standpoint, he can get better that way, and he will.
Yeah.
It's an interesting point about just taking the 2, 3, and 4 because you don't think of a 2 or 3 yard run as a success.
Right.
But we had a lot of those in the first 2 games and not a lot of negative plays, so we were not often behind the sticks. So if you rush for 4 yards and then 3 yards, it's not awesome, but you're in third and 3.
Yeah. Which
you normally convert.
Mm-hmm.
If you're getting stoned at the line. Now, another stat from Next Gen Stats that I looked at today is the Bucs running backs were hit behind the line of scrimmage on 62.5% of their carries. That's not going to work.
No.
That's just not going to work.
Uh-uh.
So some of that you blame on the back. Maybe he needed to hit the hole. Some of that you blame on the line, just not giving him anywhere to go, like on the safety.
Yeah.
I mean,
that was a disaster.
I don't want to talk about it too much because there's a question about it. But,
okay.
So the running game was kind of doomed from the beginning.
But it has to.
I think it can get better.
It has to get better.
I don't think it's going to be any kind of elite game, but they just need the efficiency that they had like in the Chicago game.
Right.
They still only averaged like 3.5 yards per carry in that game. But they got 120 yards. They were able to keep the chains moving, get a lot of manageable third downs. It just didn't happen last night. You give so much the credit to that Philadelphia front, right?
Yeah, well, they played well. I mean, they're a good football team. Now, whether they make it all the way to the Super Bowl, I don't know. They still got to see San Francisco, so who knows?
Yeah, San Francisco.
Right. And then, of course, don't discount the Dallas Cowboys, even though they did lose to the Arizona Cardinals.
and destroyed survivor pools all across the country.
Yeah, they did. How about that? That's not very nice. You're laughing too much about that.
Okay.
Okay, keep going.
Did you see what happened to the Steelers trying to get back home?
I did. They had some issues with their charter, and they had an emergency landing. And then
Kansas City.
Yeah, yep. We've been there, haven't we?
And they were stuck for 6-8 hours, something like that?
Yeah, they had to wait to get another plane.
That's a nightmare.
Well, the problem there is
we've been there.
Yeah, the problem, is it's in the middle of the night, and you can't really go into the airport because you can't go on the passenger side because not everybody gets screened. They do like a 25 or they do, because it's a charter, they do a % of people being screened. So you just can't go in.
Oh, wow. I never thought about that.
And so you're kind of trapped. Now you say, okay, we'll go to a hotel. Well, you've got 150 people or something like that trying to locate a hotel that has that many rooms. You would be dumping people in multiple hotels.
Just to get a couple hours sleep and
Correct.
turn right
well,
back around.
and then the other thing is you got to call the bus company to come get everyone to go. And
yeah, because you don't have buses ready in the town you weren't expected to land in.
Correct. So it's like a big snow. So you talk about like our Tim Jarocki, who's our senior director of travel. You talk about a nightmare.
Oh, yeah.
Because everybody's looking at you like, how are you going to get this done?
What are we going to do?
And so basically they sat on the plane and waited for a new plane to come.
So they sat on the plane the entire time.
Now, the plus side is they won, so things are a little bit easier.
Still, man.
But, yeah, no.
I'm getting pretty salty about 2 or 3 hours.
No, right. I just the whole episode. But you also have to look at it if you have a problem and you have to make an emergency landing and you're standing there talking about, oh, this is really crappy sitting in the seat for a few hours. Much better than if things didn't go the way you wanted them to.
You're alive, right?
Right. So there's
live to fight another day.
Yeah, there's that. But those are the things that, you talk about a team, disrupting their schedule. Well, they lost a day.
Yeah.
They basically have lost their day off.
It's like they played a Monday night game.
Correct.
Kind of.
Yeah. So, yeah, that it's funny you brought that up because I was talking with Tim earlier today, and I made a comment to him about it. And he goes, I haven't heard from my counterpart. I tried to reach out to him.
He or she for the Steelers probably has every other Tim Jarocki in the league reaching out.
Yeah, well, his phone's just blowing up, and he's like, I'm over this. I'm not answering anything right now. I've got nothing.
If it's generally decided that he or she handled it as well as possible, they'll be given a speech at the next time all those guys, those people gather together.
It's going to be, what's your worst moment?
How did you do it? How did you get through it?
What is your contingency
Because we've been through some of these over the years.
Yes.
I don't know if we've been through one that bad. Because, when we couldn't take off in Oklahoma City, we went back to the hotel.
Yeah, and that wasn't a plane issue. That was a union pilot issue.
Right, but it still involved us not being able to leave.
Yeah, we got lucky there.
But we were still in the city we started in, so we had buses. We had a hotel that we cleared out.
Yeah, they didn't let the buses go. Right.
We went back to the same hotel, slept for a while, and left in the morning. I remember the one year in Minnesota, in the Sam White years, where the snowstorm kept us from leaving.
Yep.
We all just went into the tarmac.
Yeah.
Because we didn't have the
security
issue
then. It was before 2000.
It was
or
before
20,
that issue.
September 11th. It was before September 11th.
So we could go into into the terminal, and everybody did, and they had a good time. And
It was great.
yeah, went to
Paul
the bars and
Gruber
restaurants.
Paul Gruber handled it, picked it up. That was the first time that we won that game, and I remember thinking, so this is what it's like being with a winning team. This is fun. I also remember the one where our plane got delayed. We were in Green Bay, and we ended up going, and this was before all the catering that teams do after at stadiums.
Right. Every team has a post-game meal.
Right. Well, this was way before then that we went out to into the parking lot and got brats from the Packer fans. They were passing them through the fences. It's great.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it was really very, very cool. But yeah,
we had the one year where we were the coaching staff. This was a Gruden year. For the Senior Bowl in Mobile, Alabama, and terrible ice storms or something. We're shutting down the Atlanta airport, which we were supposed to connect through.
Right.
So they just rented a couple buses, and we drove back to Tampa.
You do what you have to do. Yeah, I mean, that's a good travel guy.
I was fine with it. I'd rather do that than spend another day in Mobile, Alabama.
Yeah, I've never been.
Don't.
No, it's not on my list, huh?
Don't.
Wow.
Why don't you list all of the cities that you can think of in the United States?
Yeah, that's not one.
Put them in order and put that one at the bottom.
That's not the one to hit.
Don't go to Mobile, Alabama.
I'll remember.
Do you know that Mobile, Alabama? You think it's Seattle, but it's not.
You think
Mobile, Alabama has the highest
rain
inches of rain of any city in the United States per year.
Really?
Yeah. Seattle's well known for being rainy.
Yeah, but they have mists.
Yeah, they have a lot of rainy days, I guess, but the most rain is Mobile, Alabama.
I didn't know this.
Yeah, so that's great.
Wow.
I've never been to a Senior Bowl where it didn't rain on at least several of the days there.
Huh. I've never been to a Senior Bowl. I might have to look into that if they move it out of Mobile, according to this guy.
Well, I mean,
yeah,
you're basically there to watch them practice.
Right.
Nobody cares about the game.
Right. But yeah.
I mean, how much do you enjoy watching the Bucs practice these days?
We're getting emails from Mobile, Alabama.
I know that's
here. They're going to tell us where the hot spots were. That's where you should have been.
Hey, I've been there for a while. It's possible that
it got one.
Yeah, they got a hot spot. They got one now.
I told you I'm tired.
That was pretty good though. I'm not sure. The only other thing I got written down here, and you're not going to care about this.
Why? How do you know?
Because it's a game.
Oh.
I've told you about this immaculate grid before.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, that's the one where you say it and then you name the different players. And
this year, today.
What's yours today?
Today, I only bring it up because the Bucs were in it today.
Oh, okay. Ask me what it says.
I'll do that.
Okay. I'm hardly waiting.
So to refresh your memory and tell anybody else out there who hasn't already heard, there's a game you can play. It's actually hosted now on ProFootballReference.com. But it's called the Immaculate Grid. It actually originally started with baseball. And it's 3 things along the top and 3 things along the side for a 3x3 grid, a 9-square grid.
All right.
In this particular case, this is the NFL one today. The Buccaneers are the selection at the top of the first column, and then they intersect down the rows with the Eagles, Steelers, and Dolphins. So what you have to do in those boxes is you have to pick, I have to find a player who played for the played for the Bucs and also played for Philly.
Okay.
As an example. Bucs also played for Seattle, and Bucs also played for Miami. And I'm bringing this up because I think you'll like who I picked for Bucs Miami. A player who played for both the Dolphins and the Buccaneers.
I would say Hugh Green.
That is actually the first guy I thought of. But when I'm doing Bucs and I have a better knowledge of it, if it's 2 other teams, I'll take whatever I think of first.
Sure.
But you have a rarity score in this game. It shows you what percentage of people correctly guessed that person.
Oh.
And the lower it is, the better your rarity score is.
Okay.
So Hugh Green is a great answer.
But
look a little closer to home, my friend. I'm talking about you specifically.
Look, me specifically. Closer to home.
I don't mean literally your house.
Oh, closer to home.
Somebody you spoke to yesterday.
Somebody I spoke to yesterday.
I don't know. You might have even spoken to him today. But you definitely spoke to him yesterday.
I'm at a loss. Don't say anything. Somebody I spoke to yesterday that played for the Bucs and Miami?
Yes, and I wonder if there's any fans out there screaming at the podcast right now. Come on, it's X.
Who?
You want me to tell you?
Yeah.
Dave Moore.
Oh, crap.
He didn't play a lot for Miami.
No, he was drafted by Miami.
Was he drafted or was he undrafted free agent?
I thought he was drafted by Miami
I think
in
you're right.
the 12th round or something like that.
The draft used to be really long.
Yeah. How did I miss that? Wow. I'm embarrassed over that one.
That's okay. This game can tie you up sometimes.
Now, did he play in a regular?
He was a seventh. He has to, or the answer he won't count.
Okay, so he was a seventh-round pick?
He was a seventh-round pick out of Pitt.
I'm sorry, Dave. I didn't even know when you got drafted.
He played one game for the Dolphins.
Ah.
And then later was released, and the Bucs picked him up. He played 4 games for us that year in '92, and then obviously we know he had a long, illustrious career.
Wow.
So
how did I miss that?
It's okay.
No, that's embarrassing. I'm racking my brain. I'm thinking.
That's the problem.
I'm like going through who. And well, because you ready for this? Dave's always just a Buccaneer to me.
Yeah, okay.
He didn't play.
You recovered well there.
I don't look at him as he played 3 years in Buffalo.
You recovered well there.
Thank you.
So like Bucs in Seattle, a bunch of answers came right to mind. Did any come right to mind for you?
Bucs and Seattle. The only one was Richard Sherman.
Yeah, that's an obvious one.
That was
Joey Galloway.
Oh, right, Joey, yes.
Michael Bennett.
Well, Joey Galloway also via the way of Dallas.
Michael Bennett.
Yeah, he played for us first, and then he went to Seattle.
And then only because it was recently Bradley McDougald.
Okay.
But I wasn't satisfied with any of those, and then I thought of J.R. Sweezy.
Wow.
And that's, by the way, Dave's rarity score was...
Did J.R. Sweezy ever really play a game? I know he's on the roster.
No, he played.
He didn't play very long, though, right?
Well, he had injury issues.
Yes. And then he went to Seattle and had injury issues.
No, he was with Seattle before us.
Oh,
and maybe after.
I think he went back.
He went back there 1 year and then had 2 years in Arizona. But the guy ended up starting 104 career games.
Wow.
That's not bad.
No.
He played 14 games and started all of them for us in his 1 year with us.
Yeah, they had a lot of hope for him.
He got me a rarity score of 0.9%. Dave was 0.2%. And then for Eagles Bucs, I went with Sean Landetta, who's been mentioned twice in this podcast now.
Yep.
0.1%.
Wow. I'm still like really shocked by that.
I mean, the obvious answer there is Deshaun Jackson, right?
Yeah.
There's probably a couple other obvious ones I can't think of right now. But anyway, that was it. That was all I got. I mean, we've been going at it for a while now, right? We still have fan questions to get to.
Okay.
So you ready for that?
I am.
We don't need to take a break, do we?
No, we don't. This is an easy show for me.
If your favorite part of the show is hearing Ronnie Lane do that intro, then sorry. You don't get as much of it today.
Well, I do that so you can, just kind of breaks it up a little bit, gives us a breather. Go ahead. What do you got?
I'm trying to get to the beginning one.
Okay.
Okay, here we go.
All right.
This is from Phil Schwadron in California.
Okay, we remember him.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm writing this. Hey, dogs. Hey, S-Dogs. I'm writing this before the Eagles game tomorrow. As a longtime Bucs fan, my hatred for the Eagles goes back 25 years. Good for you.
Good call.
However, there's one thing I hate more than the Eagles as a team, and that's their QB sneak with the butt push play. I think it's generally known as the tush push, which I think they did at least 5 or 6 times in that game.
They did.
I hate it. I think it's cheating. If not legally, then certainly morally.
Morally.
Let the QB line up and hit that D-line without help by himself using only the strength of one man.
Yeah.
Not 3.
A manly man.
Because a couple of running backs with their hands on his tush.
Yeah.
I have visions of Vita Vea blowing up this play on Monday night, but the truth is it's probably unstoppable. Do you think there should be a rules change to outlaw it, or are we stuck with it?
Well, I think we're stuck with it. Because not every team can do it. I mean, they can try to do it, but it's just Philadelphia just has the beef to do it, and they have a big quarterback. So I'm not so sure if it's as successful for every team.
He's not that big. He's just a good runner.
Yeah. So I don't.
He's strong. He's very strong.
Yeah, they've talked about it. I mean, they tried to get it, so couldn't happen this year. And the rules committee, our competition committee, I think that's what
they're like,
call it. Let's just keep it in there and go.
My philosophy here is, if rules allow you to do something and you figure something out that nobody else had figured out,
then you should be able to do it.
And it works.
Yeah.
Your sport shouldn't then go, oh, well, I don't like that, so you can't do it.
Right.
It's within the rules. Mm-hmm. You figured it out. You're making it work.
But rules do alter.
Yeah, but just because somebody's doing a good job of something?
Well, that's true. That's true. Well,
It's not against the rules.
They kind of did that with Stickum. They took Stickum away because it was
but
doing
that's,
such a
to me,
good
that's
job.
different.
Okay, that's an
You're
aid.
using a foreign substance.
Okay,
I
that's
can easily
fair.
see why.
That's fair.
You look at it. That's not part of the
Okay,
game.
I'm just thinking of things that had happened in the, how they've changed,
Right.
what you can and can't do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, you can't.
Touch somebody for 5 yards.
Yeah. They've changed those types of rules throughout the year. Those generally, though, are
Can't
just
hit the quarterback.
rule changes like that.
Can't slap you in the head like you used to be able to.
Rule changes like that are because the NFL knows
Safety.
people. Well, and the NFL knows people want offense.
Sure.
So you put these rules on when the DBs can hold a guy or contact a guy.
So
and you try to keep all the QBs healthy.
Yeah, someone's got to figure out how to get lower than
Somebody's got to
than
figure
they
out how
are.
to stop the
Like
play.
crab crawl.
We did stop it one time.
Uh-huh.
Unfortunately, it was third down, and they just ran it again.
Yeah.
Out of my philosophy on that is if we figured out some trick play that exploited something in the rules tomorrow,
Sure.
I wouldn't want the league then say, no, you can't do that. That's against the rules.
I do like how fourth down is no longer fourth down anymore. You make a third, you make a stop, and then a lot of teams anymore are just going for. It's like, well, if you punt the ball, then you're letting the ball out of your hands.
Well, the Chargers coach, Brandon Staley, has been all over the board on his fourth down decisions in his 3 seasons as head coach. Did you see he notably went for one in his own territory with about, 3 minutes to go? I think the other team was out of timeouts. This was Minnesota.
Yeah.
99% of coaches would punt there and make him try to go 80 or 90 yards.
And he didn't.
And he decided to try to end it. And I think there's a lot of analytics people out there who would say it was a good decision.
Yeah.
They didn't get it.
Right. But it was the right thing to do.
Maybe. I don't know. That one's
Well,
borderline.
he won, so it was the right thing
Well, he
to
won
do.
because they got a goal line interception.
Well,
I think he's looking really bad today.
Yeah.
Or yesterday.
They not only that, but also Minnesota needs to work on clock management.
Oh, yeah.
Big time.
Dallas does, too.
Yeah.
Did you see the end of that game? They're down by 2 scores.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're going to need to score, get the ball back, and score again.
Right.
And they're running the ball on every play.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
The Minnesota game, the reason why I mentioned the time is they had no timeouts, but they just got a first down. So you get a first down, and instead of getting to the line, spike the ball, clocking it, going, okay, what do we want to do?
Yeah.
They let 20 seconds trying to get a play in.
That's because they couldn't hear because their own home crowd was too loud.
But somewhere down the line as a quarterback, would you just not say, line up, let's...
Well, apparently he eventually did, and he claims he called the play that the coach was trying to call anyway.
Oh, okay, well.
I don't know. You say those things.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean they're true.
But it was... if it was so loud, okay, correct me if I'm wrong, weren't they in Minnesota?
No, that's the point. That's what makes it funny.
Yeah.
Because their own home crowd was so hyped by the situation that they just didn't.
I want to go back and listen to that because, gosh, usually the Minnesota fans are very, very smart, knowing that when their team has the ball, don't make noise.
It was just a crazy situation. I think they were just hyped up about what was going on.
Wow.
Sorry, Phil. I didn't agree with. What did you agree? Do you think they could? Would you consider changing that rule?
No, because I think it's
what
like
would
you
be
said.
the change to the rule? You're not allowed to push a ball carrier from behind.
Yeah, and if that was the case, we wouldn't be able to have a touchdown interception to get Shaq Barrett in.
Right,
so you wouldn't have had that. So if you don't like it, you have to stop them. So some defensive guys
Somebody's going to
figure out a way how to do it. Right.
They did. The Eagles did try to fake one.
Uh-huh.
And I thought it was weird because they were down, but they were like a yard and a half or 2 yards away from the goal line. And I'm like, they're lining up in this tush-push thing.
Uh-huh.
I swear to God, I said this. I bet this is a fake. And sure enough,
he
started to lunge forward, and then he backed out, but then he tripped.
Yeah.
So it worked out really well for the Bucs.
It was great.
All right. Next one from Richard. He emailed us last week.
Okay.
And I had a really hard time pronouncing his last name.
Oh.
So let's get to that. Ahoy Saltineers. And he's also from California. I'm writing to you Sunday evening, and history was made by the Miami Dolphins putting up 70 points against Sean Payton and the Broncos. I like the way he put it that way.
Yeah.
What is the highest points scored the Bucs ever put up in a game? The last big points I can think of was 2019 Bucs at Rams, when they paid homage to Derek Brooks' number and scored 55 and won Super Bowl 55 a year later, which is all good points.
But
a lot of numerology going on there.
Yes.
That is the answer, by the way.
Okay.
That is the record.
What's the highest that's been scored against the Bucs?
70-something by the Jets.
Was it 70 or I thought it was 68?
Let's see. 62.
62 points, yes.
62.
Yeah.
No, that was the biggest one. Before that Rams game, which was exciting, I think it ended up being like 55-40.
Wow. Yes.
We had never scored 50 points in a game before.
I remember that.
Let's see, what was it exactly? 55-40. Didn't Ndamukong Suh have like a
He did. He had a
touchdown at the end?
He did. And he had just come from the Rams to the Buccaneers first year.
that's the most points the Bucs have ever scored in a single game.
That was into the Coliseum too.
Yeah, we hadn't been there in a million years.
Yeah, the new Coliseum, they upgraded it. Very fancy. Nice press box.
I'm just making 100% sure that I'm right. I'm like 99.9% sure.
If I had to, I'd say you are.
55.
Okay.
The next is a bunch of 48s. This isn't included in here, but the first Super Bowl, we scored 48. We scored 48 against Atlanta in 2021. I remember that one. Scored 48 at New Orleans in the first game of 2018, and that was 48.
Oh, that was the Fitzpatrick?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that remains the highest scoring game in Week 1 in NFL history.
Wow.
We had 48 against New Orleans back in 2001. I remember that one. I think Carl Williams had a punt return for a touchdown. And we had 48 in Week 1 against Atlanta in 1987. That's the game when Steve DeBerg threw 5 touchdown passes.
Wow.
So, yeah, you got it. You asked the question and then answered it. But then he says, by the way, thank you, Scott, for taking interest in the correct pronunciation of my last name. It is Teraoka. Teraoka.
Nice.
It is Japanese, and it means temple, the Tera part, and hill, the Oka part.
A temple on a hill?
So his name means Temple Hill.
Okay.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, very. Thank you for taking the time out to educate us on that. Yeah.
I'm excited and nervous for Monday Night Football versus the Eagles. Especially excited for Ronnie to get his Hall of Fame ring. Yeah. I hope we can see the ceremony on TV. We probably didn't.
They probably didn't carry it, no.
I am predicting our Bucs winning 26-24 and a bold prediction of 2 K-Dot and touchdowns.
Yeah.
I'll follow up after the game, which he did.
Yeah.
Until then, thanks for reading.
Yeah.
Richard.
Very bold.
This one's from Elliot. He's our fan he's a Bucs fan in
where?
Australia.
Oh.
Remember that?
Oh yeah, the presenter.
Yes. Good day, gentlemen. Thanks for your help with ticket info this past week. I'm traveling over solo and just booked a ticket in section 107.
Very nice.
That's good?
Yeah, that's about like right on the – I'm not even looking, but it's like on about the 40-yard line.
Nice.
Yeah. That would be on our side.
I hope you get – oh, it's definitely on our side.
It's on the west side. He's on the west side.
That's good.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, he'd be about the 30, 40-yard line. Because I think
that's a 4 o'clock game.
Yeah, 110 is the 50-yard line, and I'm going off the top.
Yeah, and I'm not going to look it up.
Yeah, no. But yes, you did well.
Just finished watching this week's game. Is it fair to say Philly on paper is the best team we will play in the regular season? Let me finish. Yeah, For me, even though we weren't great tonight, we still only lost by 2 scores. Well,
he's very positive.
Yeah. Against the Super Bowl contender, so remain incredibly positive. You think we look at bringing in, another running back to help moving forward, especially with Chase out for an extended period? That's Chase Evans. Love your work. We listen to you blokes each week.
I like it.
I love being called a bloke.
Yes.
That's Elliot Lovejoy.
You are a bloke. Hey,
okay.
Mate.
Are the Eagles the toughest team we're going to face by our estimation? Here's
I say no.
Okay, then I'm going to go down the list.
They're
better than the Vikings.
Yes.
They're better than the Bears.
Yes.
Saints, they're better than the Saints, right?
Yep.
Better than Detroit?
Yep.
Better than Atlanta?
Yes.
How about Buffalo? I know which one you're looking at.
Which one am I looking at?
San Francisco.
Correct. That's mine.
And Buffalo and San Francisco are both on the road.
Very
Flip
tough.
A coin there. I don't know if I agree with you that San Francisco is better than Philly.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting.
Although they both are amazing.
I mean, I do realize, and I will respectfully say Philadelphia beat the 49ers in the playoffs. However, they didn't have a quarterback, so I'm going to go with that.
You can't judge by that.
But they
almost beat Kansas City in the Super Bowl.
Well, there's that. So, right. So there you have it.
flip a coin there,
Yeah.
and Buffalo could be in that argument as well.
Tough go. And if you're going to play in a tough place, I think playing in Lambeau on December 17th, it could be a tough game.
So what we got left here? Let's do this really fast.
All right.
We got the Saints.
Yep.
Right now,
that's a rivalry game.
Two games. Right now, they feel like about the same place we are.
Mm-hmm.
We got Detroit, who's looked pretty good so far.
Very good. Yes.
I don't think they're as good as Philly, but that's a tough game.
Yeah.
We got Atlanta, kind of the same spot as we are. I don't know if I buy it yet. I don't know if he can win the way they're winning consistently. Buffalo is really good. Houston looks frisky all of a sudden. Tennessee looks terrible, so hopefully that continues. San Fran. Indianapolis, they look all right. Carolina, they look terrible. Atlanta, again. Green Bay. Green Bay's look decent. Jacksonville, I was very disappointed in their effort this week, but I think they're good, and that's everybody on the schedule.
Oh.
That was some grade A analysis.
But
right
I think also though is we'll have to wait and see because you don't know who's going to be good or bad. I mean, we're projecting it with 3 weeks in 3 weeks into the season. But
to me, Tennessee looks awful. I don't think they're going to pull out of that.
Well,
the Carolina could, depending on what happens with them at quarterback. Either Bryce Young improves rapidly or they stick with Andy Dalton.
Yeah, they did in Seattle. They almost beat Seattle, but
all right.
didn't.
Back to Richard Teraoka.
Okay.
Who emailed again back as he said he would since he made predictions. Ahoy, Saltineers. Well, that game didn't go as predicted, huh? I boldly predicted K-Dot to have 2 touchdowns. He barely had 1 catch.
Yeah.
As bad as the offense was, I'm not discouraged. It's only week 3, and there's plenty of time to improve. I'm interested to hear both of your perspectives, I think he means perspectives, about this game, which we've kind of already given.
Yeah, we did.
Unfortunately, Mike Evans had 3 drop passes. One was easily for a touchdown. Now, this is where I wanted to jump in. I started to say this earlier but didn't finish it. There are different degrees of drop passes.
Yeah.
He's going to bring this up here in a second, but remember the one in Carolina last year?
I do.
That's an egregious drop. You never expect Mike to make, but over the course of a career, every now and then it's going to happen, right? Sometimes they're contested. So the one that could have been a touchdown, I feel like, first of all, he's like falling backwards, right? Don't underestimate the impact that a defender being right there and having his hands around you.
The defender pulled his arm down.
Okay, so there you go. I mean,
you're talking about the one in the end zone.
That's what he's talking about.
Yeah. No, that was a great defensive play.
Okay, so there are different degrees of drops.
Right.
I think there was one of those I felt like was a drop for sure.
Mike had the ball, and the defender got it in and was able to push.
All right.
Yeah.
I didn't see that with that much clarity.
Yeah. So, but I see what you're saying. And then he had a dropped one that was sideline. It was high, 2 hands.
Yeah, that was a tough catch.
Yeah.
You do expect him to make it.
Yeah, because Mike makes great catches.
And he's so tall and long that he can have a shot at that play.
Yeah, but I thought that ball was high.
It was a tough play, but I bet you he would expect to make it.
Yeah. Fair enough.
That's what I mean by different degrees of drops. Okay. He says it kind of reminded me of last year's matchup versus the Panthers when Evans had a big play that would have been a touchdown.
Yeah.
But the ball bounced off his hands and the offense just couldn't find their footing after that. Anyways, I'm ranting. I hope Evans is a Buck for his entire career.
Nice.
So do I.
With you.
Hope you guys have a great rest of your week. You too.
Yep. Thank you.
Richard. And, of course, go Bucks. And, by the way, it's F ** K, the Saints week. Hope we give them hell.
I see what he did there.
Thanks for reading. And that's Richard Teraoka in San Gabriel, California. Okay.
Right.
Hey, first time maybe in a while we've heard from our guy in Brazil, Alexander Nascimento. Ahoy, salty ones. Hope this finds you both well and probably tired from working late yesterday. What a game, huh? Not what I expected, but those Eagles are really a good team, and our offense is not quite there to make it closer. But, hey, our D was good, if not great, considering all the substitutions they had to make before and during the game. Okay. Well, I mean, that's a pretty optimistic viewpoint of it. There were some injured guys and some more guys got hurt. The defense was not good against the run, but it wasn't terrible against the pass.
And then we kind of got hurt there near the end with passes on the corners because
I mean, we were playing undrafted rookie Derek Pitts for 20 snaps. Let's focus on Mike Greatness, and he writes it the way that Mike has the logo with M1K3.
Uh-huh.
Greatness, and prepare to the Saints in the most enjoyable stadium that is, right, Mr. Smith? No. No. After all NFC South teams lost last week, which is true, and I meant to look up. I wish I'd thought of it. I meant to look up to see the last time that happened. And we have the chance to leave New Orleans behind and be 3-1. And it was awesome to see Rondé Barber's new ring and provoking all Eagles fans in attendance.
Yeah, that was the
Since
best.
you did, thanks for reading.
Yeah.
All right, and then Sam from Nashville. Hey, dog, sorry for the long email. Even though it was a loss, I'm still pretty encouraged. The funny thing is, I guess he could have gone back and added that at the end, but that's the first sentence. So he already knows he's going to write a really long email?
Well, maybe he has a lot of thoughts, and he was beginning.
He probably went back and put that in at the end.
Oh, okay.
Even though it was a loss, I'm still pretty encouraged with what seemed like – this is a theme.
Yeah.
That's why I'm reading all of these.
I do like well, that's fandom. They're
But
not giving up.
Come on, you've been fans of a team where you're just mad, and you're mad at them and what
Well,
they're doing.
yes, that's true.
The general tenor of these emails is,
Okay.
hey, rough game, but I'm not that worried. I still feel good.
You ready for this? I'm not jumping ship.
You always want me to pause and make sure that your jokes hit.
But
your
they
puns.
do. It's a pregnant
All right.
pause.
With what seemed like half of our stars on defense out or playing hurt, we held our own and got a couple key turnovers to keep us in the game.
I'm with you.
At the beginning of the season, I was bummed we had a Week 5 bye, but it seems like it's coming at a great time now to hopefully get most everyone back healthy. That's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Kalani Fancy. Maybe that was the whole idea.
Gosh.
Maybe that was the whole idea with what they're doing with him. They're like, okay, let's shut him down until after the bye week.
Well, that would be smart because he did come back. He did play 11 incredible snaps.
And then got
aggravated it. So, yeah, I mean, because it would then give him another couple weeks, actually 3 weeks from now.
Yeah.
Okay, so that would be strong.
Let's get this over with.
Okay.
I want to preface this next part by saying I love Dave Canales. I think he's going to be a great OC for us and eventually a great head coach somewhere.
Is this a butt coming?
Yes, I think so.
All right.
The offense still has some hiccups, but that is to be expected.
Mm-hmm.
And as the season progresses, Dave will get a better feel for what works and what we need to do. I'm glad he's our guy. With that being said, here's your butt. With that being said, there should be a rule that you never, ever, 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 ever run the ball on your own 1 yard line or less.
Now, if he threw a pass and it got interception, then you would say
there's okay. You're giving up so much ground to the defense when you run halfway into your own end zone to hand it off. But I see a lot of teams do this when it hardly ever seems to work. This could just be my confirmation bias, which I can explain if you'd like. That's what I said, not him. Obviously, these OCs know way more than I do, so maybe I'm just missing something. Are there any stats that show running on your own 1 yard line is beneficial more often than not? I know there are rare instances of it working, like with Ronald Jones against the Panthers in 2020, but this is just something that grinds my gears to no end. Thanks for the great podcast. As always, let's crush the Saints and go Bucs. Thanks, Sam in Nashville, Tennessee. Okay. I don't completely disagree, Jeff.
Really?
I agree with all the caveats that he's making that these OCs know better than we do.
Well, yes, I agree on that.
And we tend to judge plays how smart they were based on afterwards how successful they were.
Sure.
When you can have a good play call and bad execution.
Mm-hmm. But in this particular game, because of the running,
that too. Their run defense is so good.
Yeah.
But I can picture exactly what he's talking about. The ball is on the 1 yard line, but in the function of this play, the quarterback takes the ball, runs back into the end zone several yards, and hands the ball to the back about 3 yards deep in the end zone.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
So you have to make up all that ground just to get back to the goal line, let alone the line of scrimmage, which you should be able to do. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
you don't expect to be hit before the line of scrimmage, but when they're expecting you to run, so they're loaded up for it.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a way to design the run play so that there's a quicker hit. Maybe you do a shotgun and he's handing it off forward a little bit.
Yeah.
Or you just try a quick pass.
A little outside.
I I don't
Yeah.
I don't have the stats to know if that's a bad play call or not, but I do know that I don't like seeing the quarterback turn around and run several yards into the end zone.
I definitely think tomorrow when Dave talks to the media, that'll be a question for
That'll
sure.
be interesting.
It is no, is it? No, it's Thursday. He talks.
Who knows what day today is?
Yeah. But anyways, that would be that's definitely a question, and get his thoughts on his thinking of going with that play. But I do like what you're saying though about being in the end zone 3 yards back, having to go.
This is.
Do you do a rollout? Does the quarterback roll out and do a little dump pass? Yeah.
I will bring up that he mentioned confirmation bias here, which is the I don't know what you call it, logical fallacy that says that people tend to notice and remember the evidence that supports the theory they already have.
I agree.
And ignore or not notice the evidence that goes against their theory.
What yard line were the Chicago Bears on when Shaq Barrett intercepted the 4 yard line?
Well, no, that's where he caught it.
It's where he caught it.
I think they were on like the 6.
Oh, okay.
But they had to throw.
Yeah, they had to, but they had room though. Okay. Yeah.
Again, I'm going to err on the side of I don't like criticizing play calling based on the
the result.
Work.
Right. I'm looking forward, and next week we'll talk about it if we can remember to see what Dave has to say about it.
Okay, one more and then we're done.
Okay.
Hey, Scott and Jeff. Not the outcome we wanted to see last night, but it's good to see the team still trying to fight even though it was slipping away. I agree with that part.
Yeah.
Our secondary depth is starting to scare me a little bit with CD3 and Don't Make a Scene Dean getting banged up. Anyway, my question, last year there was a YouTube video about what goes into making a home game happen behind the scenes. It was such an awesome look into an aspect of the game that not many people think about. And with you guys discussing the turf swap last week, it made me curious if anything else like that is on the horizon. I know Jeff must be a very busy guy, so he can't narrate everything, but maybe Scott the Statman Smith can lend his dulcet tone. Thank you for reading, because you did. Phil in Spokane, Washington.
Okay.
I don't know of any projects we have in the works of something like that. But here's what I would ask. Here's how I would change the question to you, Jeff. What would be an interesting topic in terms of people working behind the scenes to make the NFL go or make a team go?
I think what would be very, very cool, and it may just happen, is getting ready for the throwback game, from the uniforms to the helmets to the stickers to
stadium bunting, fields.
Does it give you a feel of the 70s? Does it give you that feel?
Who chooses the music?
Right.
What do they choose?
Yeah. And I think there might be something like that in the works.
Okay.
I would think.
All right, that's a good answer.
I would hope, because if not, you know what? There's a marketing meeting tomorrow that I don't think you and I are going to make because we're in the locker room at that time. But I may just go ahead and put it in there. Maybe we should.
You know how very, very sad it makes me when you say I can't go to a meeting.
Yeah.
Well, how are we ending this podcast on such a down note?
The only person
so sad.
The only person that hates meetings more than me is you, and I actually attend them now and then.
I've been to a meeting.
Yeah, right here. This is the meeting.
That's good, because the smaller meeting is the better.
Oh, I'm very big into one-on-ones.
Here's my rule. Okay, here's my rule.
Okay.
For any meeting, especially any meeting that's over, say, 10 people, when you're nearing the end, and the person running the meeting says,
anything else?
Anybody have anything else? Don't say anything.
Yeah.
That's my rule.
Yep. Here, my rule is meetings can't be longer than 30 minutes.
I like that.
We used to do, not here, when I worked with Affinity Broadcasting, we used to have meetings. And the way it worked was, you had to be on time. The door got locked. So if you didn't make it, then you got reprimanded.
Wow.
Okay, so you had to be on time.
Okay.
The next thing was, if it was like a director's meeting or something like that, we had an hourglass, a little sand hourglass, a minute glass, like an egg timer. And when it was your turn to talk, the timer got flipped over. If you could not explain what you needed to tell everybody within 3 minutes, you got cut off.
I like all of these rules.
Yes, it was very, very effective because you went in and you weren't, trying to enhance your position in the organization about this or that. It was meaningful. This is what we got to do. Blah 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 blah.
Okay, those are good rules.
Yeah,
that would make meetings 10% less terrible.
Maybe I should start a consulting meeting company.
I think my rule is if your initials are SS, you don't have to go to meetings. Or in my case, RSS.
You are certainly living up to it.
In my
yes.
case, RSS, because my first name is actually Roger.
Everybody's going to be listening to this, and next thing you know, you're going to get dragged into
I
meetings.
know. I really shouldn't.
I know.
I need to think about who the audience is here.
Yes, absolutely.
Shoot myself in the foot.
Right. Someone's going to go, Scott hasn't been to any of my meetings?
I have been to a lot of meetings, but sometimes there are times that don't work out real well.
Oh, does he backpedal now?
Sometimes there are times that don't work out, especially during the season.
Do you want good content on the site, or do you want me in meetings? That's basically what you're telling me. I understand. What?
But I wanted to answer that question. You actually came up with a good answer because you said something that might actually happen, which is cool. But I was thinking theoretically, what would be a good behind the scenes? What about team travel?
They've done that before.
Oh, we have?
Yeah, they did it. One time, don't you remember? I believe it was with CBS. CBS was on our airplane and did the whole thing.
Wow.
But
I'm in-house.
Yeah. Well, that would be a good one because
you get
there's
to see
a lot.
Like everything that happens at a team hotel on the road.
I'm still amazed how all of that works.
Yeah.
It's
a lot of money. That's what it is.
Oh, yeah, but there's a lot of timing, a lot of organizations, a lot of, hey, this is what has to happen. And the hardest part is you're at the mercy of everybody else. I got one more thing before we go. I want to say that all the emails, thank you, but what I thought was very cool is they were all after they watched the game.
That's not true. Some of them were
Most
before.
of them, yeah.
Yeah.
But then they came back and gave you the rest.
And like I said, the basic tenor is, okay, that sucked, but I'm not done.
No,
I haven't lost my faith.
Me either.
I think that's a basic thing. I was pleased with the round of emails, and for that reason, I hope that reflects the general feeling of Buccaneers fandom right now.
Yes, and I think you should give that email address one more time, and then let's wrap this up.
Send us questions at saltydogs@buccaneers.nfl.com.
Okay, I'll see you in the next meeting, and since you did, thanks for listening.